Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
Thank you again for joining me here at the back of the range. I'm your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 13. Before we get to this week's guest, let me get the usual podcast housekeeping crap out of the way. I know you've heard this before, but for you newcomers, we are on Instagram at the Back of the Range Podcast. We post pictures, provide some clips previewing upcoming guests on Instagram, so make sure you follow us there. Also, we're going to have some giveaways coming up very soon. Yeah, I'll end up doing the typical Instagram giveaway where you got to tag your friends and all that crap, but I'm going to do some giveaways within the episodes as well, so make sure you're listening. Also, most of you are listening to the podcast via Apple Podcasts. That is awesome, but before you get sidetracked with anything else, please leave a review. It helps grow the podcast, and I really can't thank you all enough for the support thus far. For those of you that think we can't handle some constructive criticism around here, you are wrong. It's all smoke and mirrors right now, believe me. In fact, that was actually the working title of the podcast for a long time. So if you have some advice, shoot me an email at ben@thebackoftherange.com. This past weekend, I got out to watch some college golf. And before I tell you where and who I watched, you might want to do the same the next time you have a free weekend. If you live near a university, chances are they do have a golf program. Find out if they do. Go watch them play. Doesn't need to be D1 or D2. You're going to see some amazing golf. Last Saturday, I went to Florida Atlantic University's Invitational in Boca Raton, Florida. It was held at a pretty unique public course called Osprey Point. I went out there to catch up with my old college coach, David Pizzino. Old. So anyway, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll remember that he was featured on episode 2. Now he's the head coach for the University of Connecticut. The team finished runner-up to the local favorites, Lynn University. Lynn is Division II. They are flat-out beasts. All 5 of their players finished in the top 10. Their number 1 player, Toto Gana, he's from Chile. That dude played in the Masters, 2017 Latin America Amateur Champion. Really impressive players. But the individual champion was from UConn. He's their junior co-captain, Jimmy Herval. He shot, this is a little, for all you hacks out there, that's me included, but he shot 15 under par for 3 rounds, 64, 67, 70. That's 201 using the new math. So, Jimmy, great meeting you, great playing, and best of luck the rest of the season. You know what else is crazy about UConn? Those guys haven't hit a golf ball off of natural grass in the state of Connecticut this year. So, that's pretty impressive. Also, after going to watch some college golf, I actually recorded my first in-person episode Saturday evening. So, yeah, had to clean up the studio, get rid of the empty bottles of Yoo-Hoo, and actually show some sort of professionalism. Thankfully, the subject was my longtime friend, Greg O'Mahony. We talked about his experience Monday qualifying into PGA and Web.com events and playing in Europe and some of the funniest stories I think I've ever heard about life on the road as a professional. That episode is going to be a monster, and you can expect it in May. So keeping with the college theme, let's get to this week's guest, Marisa Messana. She is originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. She's wrapping up her senior season at Clemson University. She's the only senior on the team. She's working on her master's degree while playing golf because, when you've been on the ACC academic honor roll for 3 times, I guess that's what you do. Personally, for those of you wondering, I got a 900 on my SATs, mainly because I broke my favorite crayon halfway through the exam. Moving on. Marisa is the career leader in rounds played at Clemson. She is the first woman to qualify for the U.S. Amateur while at Clemson. So she's smart and she can play. So Marisa, thank you for making time to join us here at the Back of the Range. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome. So we've been trying to catch up with each other over the last couple of weeks, and you thought it'd be a good idea to go ahead and catch a cold before we recorded this episode. So where are you wellness-wise? Are we at like Tiger Woods' broken leg territory in the 2008 U.S. Open, or we just have the sniffles?
No, it's just a head cold. I'm a Florida girl, and I'm here in Clemson, and during the winter it can get a little cold. So I I try to bundle up, but I think it got to me a little bit with playing and qualifying the past 2 days in a row. It was a little bit of cold conditions and windy, but I'll be just fine. No worries.
Well, you're a brave soul, but we'll soldier on and see what we can come up with here. So you just mentioned Clemson, so we'll let the cat out of the bag. You are a senior on the ladies team at Clemson University.
Yes, technically I've graduated. I actually finished my degree in communications in 3.5 years because I chose to stay over the summers to train and practice here. I figured, I have awesome facilities and coaches, and I wanted to make the most of that, while I had the opportunity here. So while I was here over the summers, I would take a few classes, and it allowed me to get ahead in my schooling. So that worked out really well, which I didn't really think about in the long run, but it worked out to where I could finish my undergrad and start a grad program this year. So now I'm actually a grad student in human resource development. So it's been going very well. I'm very happy with how it's worked out. And
great. Well, I guess keeping the game sharp and then keeping the mind sharp, that kind of helped you out, get everything accomplished and get your coursework in early. So I got to ask you, before we get into your start in the game and your achievements at Clemson and outside of Clemson, let's drill down into a really serious, hardcore question here.
Okay.
Is dabbing still a thing?
That's too funny. I'm not a big dabber, I guess we'll call it, myself. But in Clemson, yeah, I would say a lot of the college athletes have fun with that. Whether it's on the football field, you'll see Deshaun did that last year a few times, and I guess Coach Sweeney has done that as well. I guess it's fitting with his name, Dabo.
Okay.
And then on the course, I actually did do it with a teammate of mine, Anna Paula, when we see each other across the fairway. I guess it was last season, maybe 2 seasons ago. We would do that back and forth with each other. So that was kind of funny that you mentioned that. So yeah, I guess it's still going.
Okay. I just had to, we do a lot of investigative work here at the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. So we go after the hard hitting questions. I just had to get an answer to that. So thank you for clearing that one up. So you mentioned you're a South Florida girl. Kind of give me the quick snapshot of how you got into the game and what was your experience like playing golf in South Florida?
I loved sports growing up, and I wanted to do everything that my older brother did when I was little. So, I started with dancing and gymnastics and everything like that. But really, my brother played golf, and so I wanted to play golf. It got to the point where I kind of decided I was going to stick with golf and soccer, and then I hurt my ankle, and so that kind of ended my soccer career, I guess you would say. And I decided that I'd probably have more opportunities with golf anyway. So that was by high school. I was only playing golf. I would say I started taking it very seriously in 7th grade. I actually transferred from St. Gregory to American Heritage, which was an awesome school that allowed you to play on the high school team as a 7th grader. So I got to play with really awesome high school players who went on to play in college and are now even playing on tour. Lindsey Duncan and Paul Arito was another player that was from my area who's now doing very, very well on the professional tour. So that kind of gave me the opportunity to learn from better players and get 2 extra years playing high school golf. And I actually got to win 3 state championships. I have an awesome coach, Coach Mosier, who I still stay in touch with, and my teammates that are also playing in college still. Also, our men's program was very successful, and so there's some great guys that are now playing in college and professionally as well. So that was a really cool start to my golf career, I would say.
I've had several interviews here so far where you can't stress enough having a great foundation in the game, not just with an instructor or with a school, but having good family support that really take care of your upbringing as far as golf. How important was it for your family to support your interest in golf, and how do you think that led into your success?
That was huge. I mean, I am super, super grateful for my family. They have always been very supportive of me and have always pushed me to do great things. It was a little tough because we're actually, a very, strong Catholic family. So my entire family went to St. Gregory and then St. Thomas, which is a big high school in my area. And for me to transfer to American Heritage was a little bit risky. I guess everyone was kind of like, it was almost our rival school, and so I was like going against the grain there, and making that move. And it was definitely uncomfortable for me. All of my friends and, like I said, all my family were kind of on that track that everyone went on. And I left and went to this school that didn't necessarily have the same culture of, the Catholic faith and family background that I was used to. But I knew it would be worth it for my golf career, and academically, it's an incredible school. American Heritage really prepared me for college, and all around, it was a good move looking back, and I'm very grateful for it.
So you're doing well in high school golf. You obviously, with the numerous state championships that you won in American Heritage, now it comes time for you to make that decision of, okay, I'm going to play collegiately, and then deciding where you're going to go. Clemson. So when our listeners think of Clemson, I would imagine they're thinking of the strong football program and all. Obviously, it's a Division I school, so obviously strong athletics. Yeah. But Clemson didn't have a ladies golf team at the time, did they?
No. So how that happened was actually, my freshman year, I did start looking at schools. I kind of made a list of the best academic universities. And then I looked through and matched which ones also had very successful golf programs. I made a list, and that was at the same time that my brother was going to school. He had a golf scholarship at Anderson University, which is a Division II school. It's 30 minutes from Clemson. So while we moved him into school, I decided to take advantage of that time to visit a few schools that were in that area. I visited Duke, UNC, and Clemson was the other school. And so they had actually just put out an article, I think it was in Golf Week magazine, announcing that they were to have a women's golf program. But I mean, it's an incredible athletics department. So I figured, why don't we just go check it out? So Coach Bird, the men's assistant coach, actually gave me a tour. And technically I was the first recruit that they ever had. And I was amazed. I mean, I was really mind blown by what they had. And at that point, they hadn't even finished some of the newest facilities that they have now that we're still working on. And then I guess it was a year or two later when I started getting more serious in my visits and talking to the coaches, I came back around and I visited Virginia. And that was kind of like my school that I wanted to go to. I thought it was awesome academically. And so I was touring Virginia, and on the way home, I had been in communication with the coach at Clemson. And at this point, they had announced JT would be our coach. So on my way back, I actually decided, okay, let's go check out Clemson one more time. And when I did, I got that feeling, I guess, that everyone says that you get when you know that that's the program.
Sure.
And I kind of reevaluated my decision of feeling as though I was set on Virginia, and decided to commit to Clemson.
So without you naming names of the universities that you were looking at or that may have been looking at you, did you turn down full athletic scholarships at other universities to go to Clemson?
I did, yes. I think that was a little heartbreaking for my parents too. Hearing about the names of the schools that I had to say no to, it was tough. I mean, especially as like 15, I guess at that time. I don't even remember how old I was, but it's pretty amazing that you have these opportunities to get full scholarships to these incredible institutions, and I guess you could say courting you, trying to get you to go to their school, and you're saying no. I mean, pretty incredible.
What was the most unique gesture that a university made to try and get your attention, to try and have you come for a visit or potentially go there? And you don't have to mention the name of the school. We don't want to,
Yeah, wow, the nicest gesture. I mean, the first thing that came to mind was just a handwritten note that really was very special to me. And just, I think it was the way that coaches would tell themselves and how they would show such an interest in my success that really caught my attention. I think that was special when they would say, like, listen, I see your strengths, I see your weaknesses, and I see how we would work well enough together to be able to execute and do great things. And that was what kind of motivated me to speak more closely with those coaches.
Sounds like you made the right decision, because you've, as you said, you've raced through your academics. You're already onto your graduate program. So let's talk a little bit about the success you found on the golf course at Clemson. Tell me a little bit about your day-to-day experience, what it takes to be a Division I athlete, your workouts, your balancing
Hmm.
studies, kind of for people that are listening that don't really understand what that looks like and what kind of a time commitment it is. You're not just the regular student on campus. What are your typical
Right.
weeks like?
Yeah, it's definitely different than most people that aren't competing and playing sports. With the athletic department, they're only allowed to require 20 hours a week of practice time. So that's including workouts and training and playing on the court. Um, so, that would be a typical week. But I mean, that's kind of for golf, I would say almost the minimum because it's so time consuming. That's not including your warm ups and other additional drills or things that you might have to do. Our schedule is pretty regimented with being the same every week. We've always had 6 a.m. workouts on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then we practice in the afternoon. So, we normally try to get all of our classes done between 8 to 12 and then have the afternoons open for our practice. And we have qualifying. It's really changed, semester, depending on the semester and everyone's academic schedules. But that'll probably be twice a week or so before going into our tournaments. Now, when we are traveling for tournaments, we're gone for 5 days at a time. So that's the most out of any other sport here that you'll be traveling. Most football game, it's 1 day and then
Sure.
you're done. But with golf, it's normally a 3-day event. There's a practice round the day before, and then you have a half day traveling before. The athletic department has been incredible with providing us tutors and academic assistants that allow us to get caught up on all that school that we're missing. We're expected to keep up, and we're expected to be doing work while we're on the road.
Sure.
So it's tough. I mean, we're playing, all morning and all afternoon and competing, and then we go home and get our work done at night. So it's a lot, but at the same time, it's really just balancing, enjoying the process and realizing that we're also getting to travel to some incredible places that I would probably never go to if it wasn't for my sport. So it's great. I mean, we do find an hour or so every now and then to go on some tour while we're on the road and see the city. But it's great. It's a lot and it's different. And if you're not committed to your sport, I would say it could be miserable. If you're just doing it for the scholarship, that's not going to work out very well because it's a grind. It is, but I just think that it's really worth it in the long run, and it's been great.
Well, you mentioned balancing academics, so I have to congratulate you for winning the Elite 90 Award, which is the top student athlete in terms of grade point average. You were awarded that at the 2017 National Championship. Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
So that was just, an amazing year, I would guess, not just personally, but also for your program. So you win this award as the top student athlete, is academically, and 2017 was the first appearance for Clemson women at the national championship for golf. So walk me through that entire week when you're at the national championship. How special was that?
That was amazing. That was definitely a tough week. I think about the conditions we were playing in. We were in Chicago, and it was in the 30s. Yeah, I think it was 35 degrees outside, raining, and 30-mile-an-hour winds. So that was an interesting golf outing, I would say. I think it was the
that
first
doesn't
round.
sound fun unless you're in Scotland,
Yeah,
but
I know, right? It was definitely a test of our grit, and so it was a good learning experience. Our team did okay, but really, I think it was just being at that level of competition for the first time was great for us. We broke through as a program, making it from regionals, which is a really special event, onto the national championship, and just being able to represent Clemson and start that legacy that we've always been wanting to leave for our new women's program was pretty cool.
And how often are you asked about, like, how do you sell the program at Clemson when you have friends or you have junior golfers that you may see when you're back home in Florida or just when you're traveling around the country? How would you sell Clemson, as obviously you're one of the top representatives for the program, I would imagine. So how do you sell the program?
It's a really easy sell, to be honest. I mean, the environment here is really unparalleled, I feel like. This athletic department provides everything we could possibly need to be successful. I mean, like I said, when I first got here, I mean, my freshman year of high school, when I first got here, I was like blown away by the facilities and all of the resources that they have available. And then by the time I got here, my freshman year of college, it had improved, and I was mind blown. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can anything get better? And I'm not exaggerating. Every year, it's gotten better and better. And their goal is honestly to provide their athletes with the best experience possible. So they're constantly looking to see what they can do to improve and open to suggestions of a way to make it better and asking for our feedback, looking at other athletic programs and seeing what they could emulate and really do anything they can. I mean, our football program is awesome, and Coach Sweeney has his saying is best is the standard, and they really live up to that. I mean, they try to do everything that they can, and it's led to be an incredible experience.
And in 2015, you became the first Clemson woman to qualify for the U.S. Amateur.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about your qualifier. How are the qualifiers for a USGA event different than maybe your intra-squad qualifiers or playing collegiate tournaments? What skills did you bring from Clemson to that qualifier?
That was actually a pretty interesting experience for me, and that was almost kind of, I guess I would say, what's the word? A little bit of a turning point in my career, actually. So that was after my freshman year of college. That was a great first year. I came in there kind of thinking that I was going to learn from the other really successful girls that had already been on the team that I was hoping to work with and learn from. And I think I did make very significant improvements. But unfortunately, we didn't qualify for the national championship that year, which I thought would probably be the only time that we wouldn't qualify. So I kind of took advantage of that time and actually studied abroad in Spain for a month, which is something that I've always wanted to do. I am 50% Cuban, and I always kind of want to work on my Spanish and really see another culture. So during that time off that I had, I went abroad, and I did bring my golf clubs, and that was something that was a very big learning experience for me about myself, and being dropped in the middle of this foreign country and figuring out how to get to the golf course and literally walking around with my golf clubs on my bag to the streets of Sevilla and going on the subway with my clubs and making friends with the members at the club in order to get a ride home. And so that was really cool. I felt like I was kind of taking some time off, even though I was still practicing. I wasn't able to have the resources and facilities that I was used to. And they weren't nearly as accessible as they would be if I were to be home. So, I practiced a little bit, but I was a little nervous and I felt like I was taking some time off. And I knew that next week that I got back, I had the USAM qualifier. So, I was hitting it okay when I got back, but it wasn't really I didn't feel as well prepared as I would have liked to. So I was playing the qualifier. I think I had 3 holes left, and it was starting to rain really, really hard. And so we actually had a little bit of a rain delay. I went back out. It was still raining, and I kind of had this thing hit me. That was another reference to Coach Sweeney. He says, the harder it gets, the better we play. And that's what he lives by. He always tells his guys that. And so I told myself that. I was literally walking down the fairway. I remember saying to myself, the harder it gets, the better we play. So I ended up making birdie on the last 2 holes to finish. And that got me into that got me into a playoff to see if I would qualify for the tournament. So I went into the playoff. I got through, I think, 5 of us that ended up getting through the qualifier. I can't remember the exact number, but I qualified. So that was huge. I mean, that was something that I can still remember, the shots that I was hitting going into those last 2 holes to finish birdie. And then the experience at the USAM was unparalleled. I mean, like I said, the way that the USGA runs that event was unreal. And I met people at that event in Portland, Oregon, that have become lifelong friends now, and have really helped me with my career. And, even beyond golf, have just made me a better person. And that's just one of the examples that I have of, how golf has led me to become a better person and meet some people that I'm so grateful for. It's been really a blessing, truly.
So Another thing that you kind of hit on right there that I'm just going to expand on is, when you go
Mm-hmm.
travel and you play these tournaments, it's not just from, hotel to the course, then back to the hotel to study and then do it all over again. You said you're
Mm-hmm.
getting doing a little bit of sightseeing, you're
Mm-hmm.
meeting people. So, what are some of the experiences that you've had at these college tournaments that most people just would not be aware of, and some of the people you've met and
Yeah.
some of the things you've seen? Because most people might think that college golf is just you just go to the course and play, and that's it.
Yeah, I would say it's all what you make of it. Some girls would, they look at it more like a business trip, whereas some people try to make more of the opportunity and go sightseeing. And that also depends on your coaches, what their style is. Some coaches are more regimented with your schedule, whereas others will let you kind of be a little bit more, do things on your time. So I tend to err more on the side of a business trip. But I do make sure that I set aside a little bit of time to see whatever it is that's going on in that city. And definitely people. I love engaging with people and learning from others. So something that's pretty cool is sometimes we have host families that will open up their homes to us, and we actually stay in their house during that week that we're competing. And so through that, I've been able to form some really great relationships with amazing people. And so that's been a lot of fun. In Oklahoma every year, Toby Keith opens up his home to us and actually hosts us for a dinner one night. And he has a beautiful estate in Oklahoma. And this is also tied in with as a fundraiser event for the OK Kids Corral,
Okay.
which is for cancer patients that are in the area. And their families are actually able to stay there with them instead of staying in the hospitals while they're receiving treatment. So we go in and interact with the patients. And then we kind of maintain those relationships as well by either sending things to them, kind of having a little pen pal system. And it's fun because you get to go back every year. I think I've been at that tournament all 4 years, I believe, that I've been here, and going back and checking on some of those patients and seeing how they're doing. And just seeing that, we're making more of a difference than you think by competing. But by using that platform of golf, we're able to contribute to the society, and that's huge for me. I think my overarching goal, I feel like, is to be a contributor. So it's allowed me to do some really cool things like that.
When I think of Toby Keith in golf, now I know he plays, and I would imagine that he has played in a handful of pro-ams, but did you ever get to play golf with him? Because
Yeah.
he's kind of a character. He's not
Yes, him and Trish, his wife, are awesome. They are both there at the event. He wasn't necessarily playing in one of the groups, but he would go around and hit a few balls. And so he was great. It's really cool just really interacting with people that have achieved something at a high level, whatever industry that's in, whether it's an athlete or a musician. It's very cool to see what their habits are and to learn from them. And also, for them to be so open with us and inviting us into their homes. I mean, it's really cool. It's something that I'm very grateful for. And it's funny because you think that, yeah, it was cool meeting them. But then when you go back the next year, they remember you, and you would never
Sure.
think that. And they're like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? And they'll ask you specific questions that you're just really kind of like, wow, like, oh wow, they're really interested in my success.
Well, I'm sure that was thrilling to hang out with Toby Keith and his wife during that tournament. But as far as a lasting impression that someone could leave on you, you have to tell me about meeting Condoleezza Rice.
She actually hosts the tournament that Stanford hosts in California. So she was there on the final round of the event and spoke, and it's really striking listening to such powerful people speak, and that's kind of what inspires me. And so that was a really cool experience, really just getting to be around her, and that tournament in itself was a very good experience as well, playing with other great players that were there. And then it was pretty cool when she was invited to be a member at Augusta National. And the other woman, Darla Moore, was also invited to be a member there. And I kind of formed a little bit of a relationship with her my freshman year, because this is just an introductory communication course that all freshmen are required to take. And one of the assignments is to interview the person who has the job that you want to have one day. So I literally typed that in Google, and Darla Moore's name came up because she was ranked, I think, as the most successful businesswoman in Forbes magazine a few years ago. So ironically, she had some connections with golf and with South Carolina because her father went to Clemson, and so the School of Education is actually named after him, Eugene Moore. And so she still does support South Carolina very much so. After a long chain of events, I ended up having an interview with Darla Moore. And so that was a phone interview, and I really was just interested in learning from her and, asking what she does to be able to achieve something at such a high level. That interview was so interesting, and I've learned so much from it. And, I try to reach out to her every now and again. That is just so interesting to me.
Well, it's great that you're making these contacts with strong women in the business world, but you can't gloss over what you just said. Tell me about your experience playing Augusta National.
So we had breakfast, and we're kind of sitting there waiting for an hour. And I got a coffee, which at the time I wasn't a big coffee drinker, but I thought it was a good idea. It was kind of cold outside. And so on top of my adrenaline from being able to play Augusta National, I had a coffee, and I was like bouncing off the walls. So yeah, my hands were shaking, and it wasn't even from nerves. It was just excitement. And then to be on the first tee, the nerves kind of come in because you're like, man, you're sitting on this tee box where people have made history, it's like not just any other golf course. This is like, a huge opportunity to be able to walk on the same course where literally history is made, and it's so significant for golfers. So, so playing was great, and it was just very special. So something that I'll always remember, and also it was very cool because now when I watch the Masters on TV, I can say, oh, hey, yeah, I hit it there, and oh, yeah, I had that shot. It's just really, really cool.
Well, I only have about 47 questions to ask you about your experience at Augusta National, but so we all listeners know the course. They know the they know the history. Can you give me anything that surprised you about the place? Just something that isn't the standard.
Yeah, I had never been there before, not even to watch the tournament. So I was struck by the undulation in the fairways, honestly. There's a lot of elevation changes that just aren't picked up on camera. And so that was pretty significant. And just walking with the caddy, it was fun because, for me, I didn't know where the things were going to be sloping and where the best plays to be. So my caddy would just be like, okay, hit it there, go there, and I would follow. And then I ended up putting together a score of 74, and it was pretty cool. You're like, oh, wow, that was not hard, but of course, I had the caddy that kind of led me through it, and it was a lot of fun. I did almost make a hole in one on 16, which was pretty memorable. I was about a foot away.
Where was the pin? Where was the pin?
The pin was that front left, where that little pocket is. So you actually hit it just right of the hole and it funnels in. I remember my caddy saying, okay, you see that tree behind the green? I'm like, yeah. It's like, all right, just go right at that. So I had a hybrid in, and I just went right at the tree. I took my chip. I start walking. I was like, wow, I hit that perfect, honestly. But didn't think it would actually end up that close to the hole. And they're like, oh my gosh, Marissa, look, it's funneling towards the hole. And I was like, oh wow, it really is. And it moves over there, and it was kind of behind the hole coming back, and it almost trickled in. I kid you not, it was a foot away. So I tapped it in, and that was fun. Wow.
Well, that's a great memory from Augusta.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I have an unrelated question for you. I've noticed that the pace of play is really an issue. How do we get the pace of play improved in junior golf so that it helps out at the collegiate level? What can be done to improve pace of play in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that people need to be a little bit more efficient between shots. To me, I don't have a problem if people want to, walk around the hole, check out the slopes to your putt, and really make sure that you're making the best decision to be able to execute the shot. Where I get frustrated is when I see people shooting their distance right when it's their turn to go. I feel like we need to be able to be making those decisions and getting that work together while the other person is hitting. And of course, being respectful and doing that quietly so that you're not interrupting them. But that's something that I think we should really stress on, is being more efficient between shots and, maybe walking with a little bit better pace, walking ahead. Of course, behind the person, like I said, you don't want to interrupt their shot, but that's where maybe I think the AJJ does a great job with their policy of the first person to finish going to the next tee box, to kind of keep things moving along while the other two people stay back and finish the hole. I think some people say that it ruins, I guess, I don't know if it's the etiquette of the game or the that kind of camaraderie. But I think it's great. Like they say, it kind of saves you an hour really at the end of the day that you can do something else with that,
Sure.
And so I think that's where we can really be disciplined with making sure that we're on top of the players and moving things along for the pace of play.
You mentioned that your ambition is to play professionally, so your time at Clemson is coming to an end. What are your plans to make that happen? Are you going to play in a mini tour? Are you going to do LPGA Q School this summer? What are your short-term plans?
So what I'm doing this semester, this is actually the first semester that I am considered a full-time grad student. So the grad program that I chose to do is actually a part-time program that's for business professionals that are working 9 to 5, and then they're able to do their classwork at night. So what I've decided to do is to replicate that, business lifestyle of working 9 to 5 on my golf career. So I'm training and doing everything that I can during the day, and then I get my classes finished and my work done at night. So I think this is kind of simulating a professional golf career for this semester. And then I'm going to see if by the end of the semester I feel like I'm prepared to where that would be the best decision to go that route moving forward, which I think will be the plan, because I will have one more year of my grad program that I'll have to finish. So, like I said, once May comes, I think I'll be able to sit down and really make that decision of what the best move will be. But I will probably go to Q School in August and see if, how that goes, whether I play as a professional or as an amateur. I'm not sure. I'll have to talk with my coaches about that and get some different advice on the best route to take. But so far, I think that's the ultimate goal, and so I'm just trying to do whatever I can on a day-to-day basis to make sure that that I'm ready to do that when the opportunity comes.
So you're staying pretty busy.
Oh yeah, that's never a problem with me. It's definitely self-inflicted. I mean, no doubt, but I definitely pack my days to the minute.
So for people listening to the podcast that are either junior players or in high school or playing collegiately, why don't you tell them what your typical day looks like as someone that is gearing up to play this game professionally?
So I'll take you through my Thursday, I guess. So tomorrow, I wake up at 5:25 and I literally put my clothes on, have a snack, brush my teeth, and go to the gym where we have to roll out, and we're expected to be there, 10 or 15 minutes before our workout start at 6. That's just something that our team has always done. It's not really required by the coaches that we have to be there at that time, but that's just kind of our standard. And so we do that. Our trainer starts us at 6 a.m., and it's an hour and 15 minutes of weights. And then because I have the time to dedicate towards golf, I stay and do an extra cardio or explosive circuit to help me right now, because that's really what I'm working on, is trying to get more explosiveness to the ball. So I'm normally finished there by 8, and then I go over to Neary, which is the west end zone of our football facility, and that's where all of the academic athletic advisors are. So we have, our study hall, our computer lab. There's actually a whole, they call it like a market, I guess, where we get 5 swipes a week where we get meals. So it's not a dining hall. That's probably to come in a year or two. We might expand on that. But right now it's just a smaller market. So I'll go there and pick up some food for the day, and then maybe get some work done, go back home. And I kind of set up my day. I'm very planned and regimented. So I have like certain exercises that I have to do at certain times. I like to start off, I've actually gotten into Headspace, which is an app that our coach just got for us, and our performance mental coach has introduced to our team this semester, which I've worked with in the past, but now, like I said, because I have the time, I can really be disciplined with doing some meditation work. And so that's been great. I love starting off my day with that. And then I'll go over to our facility and I'll practice. I have certain things that I have to do, drills that I'm working on for certain things that I need to improve. and then I'll have lunch. I normally pack my lunch in the morning, so then I'll like stop and have lunch for a little bit. And then I come back and we'll have practice starting at 3 o'clock this semester. So our practice block is from 3 to 6 with our team. On Thursdays, we actually do have our mental coach coming, Corey, and he'll work with us for an hour in our conference room, and then we'll go out and practice. I finish up around 6 o'clock. I have dinner, and then I get to my homework.
Man, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm just tired thinking about all that. So yeah,
no, I love it. I mean, that really does. I'm a doer, I guess. So I love doing things. I don't like sitting around. So if I have an hour break, I'll go play racquetball with the guys team. Like that's my break. So Josh Edmonds actually the USAM champion this year, who's on our team, and the 2 seniors, Josh and Peter. They're really good friends of mine, and so.
Who is okay? So you mentioned Doc Redmond. So give me the so when you guys are battling it out on the golf course, any shit talking between you two? Give me a good story between the reigning USA. Actually, if you need any help with any shit talking, just tell him like, yeah. I would just tell him like, look, I've already played Augusta National. You go have fun. This year, but I've been there, man. It's no.
Well, he's going to be playing there a lot more than I am.
Well,
I mean, he's playing the Masters this year.
I know, but at least you could have told him, like, yeah, I've already played that course. I mean, I've been there, done that. So
yeah. We definitely go back and forth. I have an older brother, so I get along well with guys. I was always surrounded by guys growing up when I was younger. Just because my brother and his friends are my friends. That's who I hung out with on the golf course. So, I can take it. I'm definitely going to give it back to you, but it's fun. I think it's an awesome time for guys. I've learned a lot from them, honestly, whether it's just a little chipping contest that we do or playing with them on the weekends. They're really good about going out there and playing all the really nice courses that we have access to around Clemson. So it's good. We have a little competition. And that kind of simulates some of the, competitive environments that I try to replicate that we see in tournaments. So it's good. I think I've been very lucky with even since my freshman year. The men's program has been very welcoming and helping, get me ready for whatever it is that I have coming up by playing with them and being open to ask questions and say like, hey, what do you think about this type of shot or hitting this type of shot? And they're very knowledgeable. They're great players, and that's a reason why I came to Clemson is because I knew that they've had successful programs. It's something that I can learn from, and I have.
Well, that's great. So it sounds like the men's program almost sold you on the women's program.
They did. I mean, they have definitely set a great foundation, and so I had confidence in that, and then being able to start my own legacy, like I said, it was just very appealing to me, and so our coaches definitely illustrated that idea when I was being recruited, and it hit home. I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to take risks. I want to do something different. And we have.
And now, time for a quick bucket.
I'm going to ask you just a couple other questions. We have a segment here on the back of the range called the quick bucket. And these are just a couple random questions. So the first one is, Jack Nicklaus won the 1986 Masters at the age of 46. Tiger Woods currently has 4 green jackets. So which one would be the more substantial victory? Jack's victory in 86 or Tiger's 5th green jacket?
Oh, wow. I would say Tiger's 5th jacket, just because of the adversity that he's experienced. If he's able to come back from that, then I have a lot of respect for that. Not to undermine Jack's career at all. That'd be incredible as well. But to me, I think how you handle adversity is very impressive, and Tiger Woods has definitely experienced some adversity. So I think that would be a little bit inspiring to me if I were to see him be able to bounce back from what he has. So that's why I would think his fifth win would be very significant.
Good answer. Next question for you is, we've seen over the last couple of years the spring break hijinks of Ricky Fowler and Smiley Kaufman and Spieth and JT. So give me your spring break trip, and which one of your friends or who would you take that would match up with the personalities? Spieth seems to be kind of the the steady, level-headed of the bunch. Fowler seems like the ringleader. Smiley seems like, well, you got to keep an eye on him.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then JT, I think, just kind of seems to be the one on behind the camera that's kind of documenting it for social media. So, include yourself, and then three of your friends, and who would they match up with as far as the personality goes?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, my mind immediately goes to the men's program here at Clemson. They all have great personalities, and when they're on the course or when we're together even off the course, they're all hilarious. So this is too funny. I would say, I'm closest with Peter, Josh, and Doc on our med team, and they're all very different personalities. I would say everyone's probably recording Peter for his dancing. Also, I would say on our women's team, Anna Paula and Kennedy are some pretty funny characters as well.
Nice. So, final question. You can give a major championship to anyone in history. Male, female, alive or dead. 0 majors, 18 majors. Can't be yourself. Mm-hmm. Who would you like to give a major championship to?
I'd like to give it to my assistant coach, Coach Heather Bowie-Young. So Heather's first year coaching was last year. She had a 17-year career on tour, on the LPGA tour, and she has won once before. And I look up to her as a mentor. She is an incredible person to have on our team, and just kind of picking her brain on what she did in order to win and really compete at such a high level for such a long time. I mean, that's a pretty healthy career that she had. And she's a great person. She's a great coach. And to be able to be surrounded by someone who has worked hard and done everything the right way that it seems that she does, I would love to be able to give her a major championship.
Great answer. Great answer. All right. Well, Marisa, you just made it through. I really appreciate the time here at the back of the range. Really great information, great insight, and great stories that you're able to share. We really wish you the best as you chase down you're chasing down a lot. You're chasing down the professional career, you're chasing down the graduate degree, but wish you the best. And we'll definitely keep an eye on Clemson throughout this year as they make their way towards another national championship appearance.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And there you have it. Another great episode here at the back of the range. Thank you very much to Marisa Messana for joining us. Also, congratulations to Alice Hewson, her teammate. She won the individual title at the Clemson Invitational this past weekend. Clemson came in third, so awesome showing. So congrats to everyone there at Clemson. Thank you so much to the athletic department for supporting the podcast. Next week is Masters Week. We have something special for you. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see you next week at the back of the range.